This is where my jelly roll goes, behind my cabinet. Ah, the end. Didn't make it. Now that we have all the binding sewn together, it's time to start clipping off the ends. Now I do this and I use a 1/4 inch mark on my ruler, and I put that on the 1/4 inch mark on the ruler, and then I just start slicing. So I'll cut off here, and then I come to the corners and cut those off also, because I don't want those on there, and it makes it much easier when you go to you just start going around and saying, hey, it's this big tangled mess. I also have to cut all of the little pieces. We're going to do that now. Clip all those. This is probably the easiest part versus trying to do cutting all the other portions of it. I think I have them all. And we'll just time lapse you through that. All right, I have all of them cut, so now I got one straight line. I can go ahead and start cutting off all the corners with. And I have to take off my leader. And we'll just throw that back where the sewing machine's at. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut off all the corners. See you on the other side. Now that I have everything cut off of here, what I like to do is come back through here where I have my diagonals at and go ahead and press them apart. really feel it helps make your binding lay flatter. Now you just have to be careful so that you don't burn yourself because it's such a little portion to do. And when you're putting it on, then you're not going over really thick seams. So we just have to find all those little parts now that I have it all tangled up. So what I will do is I will go through and flatten out all these where the seams are. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna fold it in half and iron it down so that it is ready to go. Hi everybody. I am trying to get this quilt done. It's been on my machine for a while now, and a lot of things have happened. So I haven't been doing a lot of quilting, doing a lot of embroidery or sewing. So I'm trying to get back into it. As we all know, family comes first, and that's what I've been doing. So I'm going to get right into this. I am really bad at sewing labels on my quilts. So I thought I'd just try something new, and I'm actually sewing my label on now on my quilt. Here's my label, and you can see that in this video, me making it. So what I've done is I am almost to the end of the quilt. You can see the border right here. So what I've done is I've made my label, and this is tearaway stabilizer. So I know exactly where my label is. Now I've put my ruler base on, and you can check that video out at the end of this video. I'm gonna move, let's see if I can move. Nope, can't move that handle, so we're just gonna leave it. We'll move the camera. So we'll just bring it around a little bit here so you can see. Woo, there you go. So all I'm doing is just a wavy stitch around the tearaway stabilizer, okay? And that's gonna sew my binding on. If you put your ruler base on, it'll be much more sturdier, and you'll be able to just go up and down and up and down and up and down and up and down, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to move this handle so you can see better. So I'll be right back. Okay, so I've moved my machine and I've pulled up my bottom thread. I'm going to go ahead and tie it off. And then I'm just going to go ahead and do wavy lines all around the edges. And you'll have to hold this. And that's why I like having the tearaway stabilizer, because then I can see where it's going. And it doesn't, for me, it doesn't have to be perfect. My quilts get washed a lot, so I want to make sure that they're going to, this label is going to stay on there. And if I sew over it with the pattern, so be it. There we go. I'm going to tie it off. Bring this over. I'm just pulling up bobbin thread here. So now it's on there. We'll move this out of the way. So there, my label's on, okay? Real easy. And then all I have to do is bring the batting back down. I'm gonna take my ruler plate off, just like that. There we go. So we don't need that anymore. And then I'm just gonna put it all back together and get ready to baste down the side. And I'll straighten it out. I'm at the end of this quilt, so. All right, I'm gonna baste down the sides and finish off the pattern. So I'll be back. Okay, so I have finished quilting this monster quilt. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the binding on, or at least the front part of the binding. The back part I will sew on my sewing machine in the other room. I do this because it's much easier. The quilt is still on the frame and I can get the front part done real easy. As far as squaring up the quilt goes, this is rectangular, so I don't know how much square I can possibly get it. But what I do is I have two balls of my binding, and you just have to make sure that your fold side is towards your quilt, okay? And what I'll do is I'll start in the middle, right here, roll it out to each side. And you will do it just like regular binding. When you get to the end, you're going to fold over the edge. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and we will time lapse that through. All right, because it's going to take me a little bit. Once I get up, if you can see here, woo, we turned the camera. Once I get up to here, I need to unroll my quilt so that I can keep going up to the top. Okay? Okay, so this is where we breathe a sigh of relief. Woo! We're so happy because it is finished for this end of it. We still have a little ways to go. Now, I forgot to tape it, but I was having issues. This quilt is 108 inches long, and I have it more on one side than the other, and normally I can climb up in between the bars to readjust when I was, you know, moving the quilt and everything like that. But I can't do that this time because it's practically hitting the bars. And I had an issue going up on the far side because I was getting so close to the edge of the railing that my machine was dumping off. Not much, but enough to where it was messing me up. So what I do now is I am done with the machine. I'm going to pull it all the way over here. I'm not going to be able to pull it all the way up, but I'm going to go ahead and take this red snapper off. Whoops. And we'll just leave the machine right here. So what I've done is on the binding, I have left about a good 12 inches, maybe a little bit less, okay? And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna fold them over one another, and then I'm just gonna cut them because I don't need to be dragging them around. And then I will finish sewing them on with my sewing machine. So at this point, I have everything done on the quilt that I'm going to be using for my long arm. So I can go ahead and take this off. To me, this is the best part of doing a quilt. When you get to the end and you can finally take this quilt off of your machine. So the first thing I'm going to do is take off all my red snappers, if I can get them off. And my scissors just fell. Woo! That quilt is done! Okay. See, now I can reach. So now that it's done, I can go ahead and unroll it from here. Till we get to the bottom. And this is so this is actually the bottom of my quilt right here. So I'm going to go ahead, I'll do it just a little bit more. And then what I'm going to do is cut. I'm going to go ahead and cut this fabric off of here. This will make it easier when I trim it down in the other room. There we go. So this is done. We are done quilting it. We're going to take it to the other room, trim it down, finish sewing the binding on, and it'll be finished. So we're going to take it over there. Okay, so I am going to start cutting off the excess on my quilt. And what I'm using is, these are Ginger scissors, and they're actually spring-loaded. So it makes them really easy to cut through, and it doesn't really wear and tear on my hands. So I'm going to get started on that. All right, so we have all the excess cut off of the quilt, and I have stitched together the two bindings that needed to go together on the quilt. Now, one of the things I have is, here is the label, and I put this on with my long arm. Can you guess or put in the comments what I forgot to do after I put it on? Put that in the comments and I'll give you a hint after I get this binding on. So I am putting the binding on, and what I'm doing is I'm actually folding it over and then I'm stitching in the ditch to put the binding on. I do not hand sew bindings, so everything I do, or as much as I can do, is going to be with the machine. So sit back, enjoy. I'm gonna get this binding on, okay? Okay, well, I have all the binding sewn on. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to lay this out on my cutting table over there, cut off all the threads that are hanging off and things like that. And then we're going to take this outside so I can get a really nice picture of it and finish off this video. So if you haven't guessed about the label, here's your hint. When let's bring this over here. Go like this, it makes noise. Does that help you? All right, put your answer in the comments and we'll see you outside. Hi everybody, I hope you're having a great day. So right now I'm getting ready to show you my quilt. But first, if you played along with the little game I started on what was the matter with the label, guess what? I forgot to take the tearaway stabilizer out from the label. So that was it. Also, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button so YouTube will refer it. Okay, so without further ado, we're gonna show you the quilt. 3. All right, guys, go ahead and drop the quilt. Great. All right, guys, let's try this again. Go ahead, release it. Really? All right, 3rd time is a charm. Can you guys please unroll the quilt? And there it is. So I have finished the quilt, the binding is on, and the wind is blowing it, so you can't see it, but it's there. That's it for today. I hope you have a great day. And don't forget to keep on stitching.